What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q here from Retro Q Gaming, and I'm going to try keep this video as short and sweet as possible because frankly there's not really much to say other than I told you so. Because let's face it, if you've paid attention to all the pseudo hype around the PS5, you know that the PS5 fanboy and the Sony fanboy, well, their only last bastion, their last hold has been some type of belief because of Mark Cerny that there's some type of magic SSD, but you know, my IO lanes though, but my priority lanes though, and they've just been proven wrong again and again and again and again. But if you've been paying attention to your boy here who knows what he's talking about, who knows technology and understands technology and isn't a fanboy, you know that that's not really the case, that just they can say all these marketing hype and buzzwords, but essentially very recently, in one of my last videos, if not hell, even my last video, there is a new beta firmware for the PS5 where if you were selected, it now enables the external, well, I guess you could call it external, the expandable M.2 NVMe storage port, so you can put in a drive. Now, Sony recommends a drive at least as fast as theirs, which of course is 5500 Mbps, because that is the read speed of the PS5's internal drive, which equates to a low-end PCIe 4.0 drive. They start from about, well, roughly about that speed. I mean, technically you can get them from about 4000 MB upwards, but you're talking still in the lower end. Naturally, on the high end, and what's been recommended, if you will, by industry people and all of this crap is basically a drive that's about 7000 Mbps. That's what we use here on the glorious PC Gaming Master Race, the only true hardware manufacturer or only true hardware platform where any of it really matters. No compromises here, baby. But naturally, in an attempt to damage control all of this, Sony fanboys have been claiming that, oh, you know, less lanes, less IO, less priority, less blah, blah, blah. And they just parroted the same things they've had for several years. Well, now we have tests. Now we have real-world benchmarks and real-world metrics with actual, accurate tests. And you can see, depending on the drive, many people are using the Samsung 980 Pro as one of their big common drives, as well as the Western Digital SN850s, which is a drive I personally recommend as I have two of them. But people are measuring these drives from those ones to the Sabrent Rocket, the Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus, and even some low-end, below-spec drives like the XPG GameX S550 Lite. And what you have seen here is in drives, many drives that are 5500 Mbps read speed, the equivalent of the PS5, you're getting equal or near indistinguishable results. For example, you might get 30 seconds on the internal drive, you might get 31 seconds on the expandable drive. I was going to call it external, but you get the idea. Now, typically, they're not even usually that far, or that close, I should say, because a lot of the high-end PC drives that you'll see around the 7000 Mbps are beating, that's right, this magic SSD that is supposedly, depending on which fanboy you ask, capable of 7000 Mbps, 8000. I've seen people even claim because of compression 22,000. And yet it's still turning in inferior results. Equal speed drives are turning in equal and or better results. Superior drives are turning in significantly better results. And here's where it gets a little bit extra funny. Remember I mentioned that XPG GameX S50 Lite? That is a mouthful to say. Remember when I mentioned that drive? Well, that one is roughly on average most of the time. There are one or two times where it's more than 1 second behind, but there's even a few times where that beats out the PS5. And you know what's very interesting about that drive and why I bring that one up in particular? Because we already have documented cases where an equal speed drive matches or bests the PS5. We have pretty much every case where a superior drive bests the PS5. But This XPG drive, this is actually below the recommended spec. This is a 3500 Mbps drive. That is a PCIe 3.0 drive, not even a 4.0 drive. And it is significantly below the recommended spec on these external recommended drives. And it's significantly lower than the internal PS5 drive. And there are many cases where it equals. There are even some cases where it beats the PS5. And you know what? It doesn't have all of your supposed I/O. It doesn't have all of your supposed priority levels or all of your different lanes. You know why? Because at the end of the day, none of them matter. Congratulations, you fell for the marketing scheme.